So we've got these electrical components that we're going to use on the car. This is everything I've got to do the electrics. It's the 21st of September. There we go. Lunch for the day. First thing we're going to do today, get the coverings for all the wires behind here on the inside and down the side here. So you see where all the wires go. Alright, so this bit here, you can see 1, 2 joins and then a join here, and then this just doesn't even go into the connectors, so all of this should really be remade, repinned and remade. So add that to the list. Alright, so we're starting to separate stuff. So the first thing I've separated, this is the speaker wire, so these are the rear speakers. Just what see there. So that's the first thing separated, and we're going to see how much of this mess we can separate out into just the core components. I keep taking off wire and just seeing bits like this green one was not going to anything, and see, this black one behind it was also not going to anything. So yeah, just getting rid of these redundant wires should help quite a lot in just diagnosing stuff in the future. I've got pretty much all the coverings I need to off, so now I'm going to start separating stuff out. So I know this connector and this connector and all the stuff in here are not required for the car to function. So I'm going to get rid of all of these out and we'll see how much more clear this looks. Alright, first thing removed. Almost every cable for the speedo is done, just this one cable, which seems to be hardwired into the sensors. So I'll get rid of that next. So another one. This one at some point had 5 different wires coming out of it. Ooh, good thing I'm rewiring this. There you go. This is the mess of wires. So that is sensors, radio, and then here we have the speedometer, fuel gauge, etc. Still doesn't look any cleaner in here though. Another 2 wires that I have no idea where they go to. So this cable bundle here, there were 5 wires going down it, and only 2 of them were actually being used. Alright, so that is everything I think untangled there. So now this bit here, this is the bit that goes to the back, the brake lights, the reverse lights, etc. It goes out, along, back in. And I'm thinking, just to make it simpler, I'm gonna go fish out all the ones that come back in and just make it a straight line there. This is the most interesting one I've seen so far. I don't know what's going on this end. Both the other ends were just disconnected. Yeah. There we go. So we've got all of this in the cabin and we've got about 12 wires going out. Well, I've discovered something that's going to make this a lot easier. There's a lot of junction connections here, so I can just unplug them there, thread them through one side, thread the other side through here. That has saved me so much time. So it's not 100% clear what each wire goes to which, because these have all been painted yellow at some point. So I've got my label maker out and I'm just going to mark them 1 through whatever number is on there. And same on the other side. Now that I've done all of those, I can see that there's actually like a little bit of colour there. These are just the same wires continued on. I probably could have just used the colour of the wire. But hey, it doesn't hurt to be careful. We got all of those pushed through. So now we've pretty much cleared it. So these wires go to the wiper motors and the wiper fluid reservoir. So yeah, everything important is pretty much done. Alright, now I've got to do my best and chart where everything goes. I've got a feeling this is going to be extremely complicated. Alright, so I've been writing down where stuff goes, but I'm thinking I'm going to label each one of these connectors so I have a reference of which connector is which when I come back. Alright, so I know this looks like a mess, but I actually feel pretty happy about that so far. So there's a lot of just redundant wires I've been able to trim just straight up so far. And I feel like there's quite a lot of length here that I can shorten out. All of this brown wire can go, and you can see there's quite a lot of it in there. A lot of these are able to stay. These are all the light wires, so that saves quite a lot of work. And then just anywhere where there's just some random splices like this, that's where I want to replace it. There's a lot of them. Pretty sure there wasn't always this many fish. Look at the deep orange on that egg. Good eggs. Yay. Doing so well in life. Alright, we are back. So the first thing I'm going to try to wire up is the ignition system. So literally just position 1 will go to making sure the ignition cylinder is running, and position 2 will be the starter motor running. And as long as I get those 2 running, technically I can drive the car. We can leave the rest of this and sort it out over time. Alright, so the thing we are looking for is where this white wire comes out from. we've just got to trace it all the way back up everything. Oh, nice. So white and red just goes directly to this connector. So if you look here, that's just not good wiring. So it's probably going to cause some problems later down the line. So I'm going to strip that back a bit. I'm going to try and unpin this plug. So worst case, I can just put it back together. And then these are the tools I've got together, and hopefully I can make a nicer plug out of it. Here we go, all de-pinned, and there's the old connector there. I'm realizing now that these wires do not match up with these wires in the old connector, so I need to go through my videos and just make sure that they are all in line when I repin it. Alright, so I've cut all of those wires to roughly the same length. Got rid of this much wire, so I've got some nice high quality spare wire if anything goes wrong later. And yeah, let's give it a go. First one, I think I overcrimped it a bit. Fell off my hand, so be a bit more careful. There we go. That looks properly crimped. That's a very good example of a crimped connection, so I'm happy with that. There we go. 4 relatively well insulated attempts. There you go, heat shrink over the exposed copper. Wow, this almost feels professional. Alright, there you go, heat shrink all over them. In future I can cut some of that off. I didn't think about it, but yeah, I don't need all of that length. Just need about this much. So we've got good news and bad news. Good news, got the whole wire untangled, and there's 2 breaks in it. Bad news, this connector is far bigger than any I have, so I need to go order some new ones. So because I can't do the ignition today, I'm just going to do a test with a voltmeter. So this is the first official test of my new wiring. So this is the starter motor wire, so it goes from the ignition down to the starter motor solenoid, and this is a wire I'm using to replace it. I've ordered this connector, but it hasn't arrived yet, so I'm just going to splice into it for now, and then I've made this about 3 centimeters longer than it needs to be, so I could just cut it off and get another one of these on when it's needed. There we go, just that connector goes up to here, quick connect, and then the rest of the wires on there. While that was happening, got myself a parcel, see what's in here. Got a minimum of 4 items here. I suspect it's more. I was right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 items. Not bad. My aim today is to actually try and crank the car. So in my head, I only need 3 wires to be running from this ignition cylinder to do that. We need power to be coming to the ignition cylinder, the starter motor to go, the ignition coil to go. After that, we're chilling. There we go. Number 1 is in the connector, so that should, in theory, work. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure which wires I can use for this. See, this is the wire I have available to me, and then this is a little bit thicker, so I'm going to reuse this for the time being, and then in future I'll come back and I'll adjust that. Alright, this is my wiring harness. So it's 3 cables. The brown one goes from the battery up to this cable, and then that switches on the ignition, and then the ignition will switch. White will go to the starter motor to start that running, and red goes to the ignition coil. And that should be everything. Alright, that's it installed. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we know power is getting to here, but it's not getting to the spark plug. So we know somewhere in here something's going wrong, so let's check this.
Made a quick flying cable, so that should be nice secure connection there to there. I've got a feeling that somewhere in here, this bit here, see how much this moves, that's where the bad connection's happening. There we go, flying cable installed, and we could do some testing here. I haven't charged the battery in a while, so this is just a quick charge. I'll leave it on for 3 or 4 hours and see if that helps. This has just arrived. I'm planning on mounting this in the engine bay so I don't have to go forwards and backwards when I'm debugging the car. Hopefully that's a good idea. No idea if it actually is. Alright, so I'm going to wire this up to a connector inside and then transfer it outside and see if I can get it working. Right, so these are the 6 connectors I need to use to connect this up. This one just needs drilling out a little bit. It's a tiny bit too small, but that will be fine. Unfortunately, I'm too ill right now to do it, so I will get to it tomorrow. So that almost fits, it just needs to be a tooth bigger, so I'll just do that now. Alright, so we now have all our connectors set up, so we can construct some sort of build for this. So these are all the internal connections I want this to do, so now I just need to work out how far away I want the connector to be. So 1, 2, 3 wires, I reckon that far, probably 6 inches away. Alright, there we go. Connector sorted. Just gotta wire it up. Alright, it's testing time. I should have this all hooked up correctly. Turn that. That should be on. And then when I press this button, that should go to 0. Yes! This is where I had imagined it going. And that actually fits a lot better than I was expecting it to. So maybe I will put it there. Okay, it's probably have to be something I do tomorrow, but I'm thinking I've got a big sheet of metal. I can just do a square there, and then just a hole in the middle, attach this to there. Hole's already cut out, boom, boom, and then I'm not quite sure where the wires will come out. Wires come out the bottom. Having a great day. So it is 99 millimeters, 10 centimeters. Alright, according to my calculations, this is what I need to make.
I'm on a volcano.
There you go, that's how that plate is going to look roughly.